My husband and his family cornered me into signing a prenup, never realizing I was worth billions. The people who should have cherished me the most backed me into a corner, leaving me voiceless. My husband and his relatives pushed me toward the papers, demanding my compliance. They believed I had no choice, no power. But hidden beneath my silence was a truth they could never imagine. What do you think she concealed? Come along as we uncover a tale of betrayal, greed, and a twist that shocked everyone. Hello, family. Welcome back. Don't forget to subscribe and tell us in the comments where you're tuning in from. Sign here, Eleanor instructed, tapping her polished nail on the first page. Our family name is at stake. Consider yourself lucky we're even letting you in. The room fell into an uneasy stillness. A pen rested beside a crystal vase like a waiting blade. Olivia Bennett's eyes shifted from the stack of papers to Daniel. He flashed the soft public smile he always wore, the one that silently begged for trust. Mom, Daniel interjected lightly. Let's not make it sound so harsh. It isn't harsh, Eleanor replied firmly. It's responsible. Phil, Daniel's younger brother, lounged lazily on the sofa's arm, thumbs busy with his phone. Just sign it, Olivia. Families like ours always do this. Families like ours, Eleanor echoed with pride. Olivia swallowed hard. This feels like a lot for a Tuesday night. Think of it as rehearsal, Eleanor said smoothly. You'll thank us later. Daniel leaned closer on the couch. It's just a formality, baby. If you really love me, you'll sign. Her gaze held his. A week before their wedding, he laughed it off with ease. The lawyer was slammed. You know how these things go. Phil smirked. Rich people problems. Olivia's mouth twitched. Wouldn't know. Eleanor placed the pen squarely on the contract. Now you will. The silence stretched like a rope pulled taut. The Carter living room, perfect and staged, felt like a set. White candles stood untouched. Silver frames gleamed. A painting of a ship suggested importance. Olivia had been there countless times, setting tables, cleaning dishes, laughing with stories. But tonight, the room felt like a stage waiting to test her strength. She steadied her voice. Can I read it first? Of course, Eleanor answered. We value transparency. Phil leaned forward with a grin. It basically says if anything happens, you walk away with nothing. No Carter assets, no support, no claim to the Palm Grove house. Easy. Phil, Daniel warned. What? I'm helping. Eleanor pushed the top sheet closer. And we'll need complete financial disclosure from you. No surprises. Olivia smoothed the page with her palm. Asterisk full disclosure. Asterisk the words buzzed in her head. She thought of the secret phone number, known only to a handful. Of the trust papers guarded in a vault by her father's lawyer. Of the humble apartment and the worn car she kept, a modest life she preferred. Of spreadsheets and coffee, of a desk where Bennett meant nothing to anyone. She lifted her eyes. You could have told me earlier. Daniel brushed her wrist. I didn't want to stress you. You did, she murmured. Olivia, I love you. This is just how my family works. Phil muttered, it's how smart families do things. Phil, Eleanor snapped without looking at him. Olivia picked up the pen, then set it down again. And if I refuse? Eleanor's smile didn't reach her eyes. Then we delay. People will ask why, and we'll tell them the truth, that we tried to protect our son, but you refused. Daniel's jaw tightened. Liv, don't make this a test. She echoed softly, a test. Everyone does prenups now, Daniel insisted. Only fools skip them. Even my boss says so. Phil chuckled. And Mom didn't raise any fools. Eleanor straightened proudly. We built our reputation carefully. We won't have it diluted by recklessness. Olivia flipped to the first page. The language was polished, expensive, absolute. She knew contracts, she lived with them daily. She understood how words could guard fear. Paper was just armor for insecurity. She looked up once more. Give me 10 minutes alone. Eleanor pursed her lips. Need help understanding it? I'm a senior analyst, Olivia replied evenly. I read for a living. Phil snickered. Spreadsheets. Spreadsheets, Olivia agreed. Daniel gestured to the hallway. Guest rooms free. Carrying the stack, Olivia walked down the hall. The door shut behind her with a click. Sitting on the edge of the bed, she closed her eyes, counting to 3 before opening the pages. Line by line, clause by clause, she searched for hidden traps. None appeared. Just a lockbox she had never wished to open. Her phone buzzed. A message flashed from a contact labeled counsel, * always your choice. Trust secure. You lose nothing that's yours. * she stared at it, then flipped the phone face down. She pressed her fingers against her eyes until colors swirled. Then she returned to the living room, her face calm as stone. Eleanor's smile re-emerged. Well? Olivia Saturday, I'll sign. Daniel's shoulders loosened. Thank you, he said with sincerity. For a fleeting second, it felt almost like love. Eleanor marked the spots with sticky flags. Here. Here. Initial there. Olivia grasped the pen. Her hand trembled once, then steadied. She signed in crisp strokes. Olivia. She dated, initialed where needed. The scratch of the pen was soft. The vase's roses cast neat shadows across the table. Phil clapped slowly. Welcome to the big leagues. Daniel kissed her cheek. You won't regret this, he whispered. Eleanor stacked the pages neatly. Good. Now we can celebrate. No champagne. Eleanor poured tea. To the Carters, she toasted. To the Carters, Phil echoed. Daniel lifted his cup toward Olivia, eyes warm again. To us. To us, she repeated softly. Small talk filled the space, as it often does when people want to bury weightier moments. Eleanor asked about flowers and seating charts. Phil bragged about a new watch. An aunt arrived late, questioning, Olivia, dear, where are you from again, as though birthplace determined value. Daniel shared how his boss prized family men. Married, stable, traditional, he said proudly. Eleanor beamed. That's why we care, Olivia. Image matters. Olivia set her teacup down. Does it matter more than kindness? Eleanor tilted her head. Kindness is private. Image is public. Phil grinned. Tweet that. Daniel chuckled like it was a joke, squeezing Olivia's knee under the table. Don't overthink it. Her eyes shifted from his hand to his face. Before they left, Eleanor walked Olivia to the door. Her voice lowered. You're practical. That suits our son. Just remember, our name carries weight. You'll carry it well if you listen. Listen to what? Olivia asked. To us, Eleanor said simply. Outside, the night air sliced through Olivia's coat. Daniel followed her to the car. Liv? Thank you. My mother's old-fashioned. You know how she is. How are you? Olivia asked. He smiled like nothing had fractured. I'm happy. We're getting married. That's all that matters. Is it? She whispered. He tucked a curl behind her ear. It is to me. She studied him the way one studies a door to see if it's locked. I believe you want it to be, she said. You always read between the lines, he teased. It's one of the reasons I love you. Just don't do it with my family. They're simple. They mean what they say. She remembered Eleanor's words, * lucky we're letting you in. * Phil's smirk, * families like ours. * the waiting pen, the test. Okay, she said softly. I'll try. He kissed her forehead, quick and neat. I'll call you later. She watched him return inside, the door closing with a quiet click that echoed louder in her solitude. Sitting in her car, silence wrapped around her. Her hands gripped the wheel. Her phone buzzed, Rachel, her coworker. * You disappeared. Everything okay? * Olivia typed back. * family dinner. Long story. Tomorrow, coffee, 9 a.m. My treat. * A small smile touched her lips. She turned the ignition, then paused. From her bag, she pulled the prenup copy and laid it across her lap. Her eyes lingered on the first line, * this agreement protects the Carter family and name. * her father's voice echoed in memory, * paper shows character, live. Watch how people act around signatures. * she had watched. She had learned. Daniel hadn't exploded, he had coaxed. Eleanor cloaked control in courtesy. Phil dripped casual disdain. She traced the paper's edge with her nail. She thought of her quiet apartment, her modest desk, her badge with an ordinary title. She thought of the hidden life she could claim in a dozen countries, doors waiting to open. She thought of how easy it had been to love Daniel once, the man who danced on sidewalks and called her real. Folding the pages, she tucked them back into her bag. The decision she'd made lingered heavy, but it was hers. She signed not because she was weak, but because she wanted clarity. She didn't need to teach them tonight. Time would do that. Alone in her car, she whispered into the dark, her reflection staring back. You think this paper shields you? One day, you'll realize who truly needed protection. The first weeks of marriage looked flawless from the outside. Olivia wore her ring, Daniel his charming smile, and Eleanor told neighbors, my son married well. At family dinners, the Carters admired Olivia's cooking, her quiet manners, her humility. To outsiders, it was a perfect match. But behind closed doors, the polish cracked quickly. One morning, Olivia placed 2 mugs of coffee on the table before heading out. As she adjusted her blazer, Daniel entered. His eyes swept her clothes, then her modest leather bag. Big day, he asked while spooning sugar into his cup. Quarterly review, Olivia replied. I'll likely be late. Daniel smirked. Don't overwork. Your paycheck can't even buy my cufflinks. He tapped the silver ones at his wrist with a laugh. Olivia froze. That wasn't kind. He kissed her cheek casually. Relax, it's a joke. Don't be so serious. She smiled faintly, but something inside her tightened. At Sunday dinner, Eleanor leaned across the table. You know, Olivia, we've been generous. Many girls would give anything to marry into this family. Phil chuckled. Yeah, Daniel could have done better. Daniel stayed silent, sipping his wine. Don't tease her too much, he said, as if it were harmless fun. Olivia kept her eyes on her plate. I'm grateful, she said softly, the bitterness hidden. The humiliations built slowly, like drops in a glass. At business dinners, Daniel bragged, the firm loves family men. I look stable, serious, that's why I got married. He patted Olivia's hand as though she were an accessory. They promote men with wives. Olivia forced a smile, but inside, fire burned. Later, she asked, did you mean that? Daniel shrugged. Of course. Marriage is an asset. And me? She asked quietly. You're part of the package, he said, grinning dismissively. The first suspicion arrived with perfume, sweet and unfamiliar, clinging to his shirt. New cologne, she asked. He laughed. Client hug. Comes with the job. The second time, faint lipstick stained his collar. She stayed silent. The third, a message flashed across his phone while he showered, * can't wait to see you tonight. She won't suspect a thing. * when he emerged, towel at his waist, Olivia held up the phone. Who's Claire? Daniel froze, then smirked. You shouldn't snoop. Are you cheating? Her voice barely carried. He shrugged like it meant nothing. Men like me have options. Be grateful I kept you. Her breath caught. You married me. I thought you loved me. He tightened his towel. I love the idea of us. You make me look respectable. Her eyes filled, but she refused to cry in front of him. So I'm just a cover. He kissed her forehead mockingly. Don't be dramatic. You'll adjust. That night, she lay awake, recalling her father's words, * people reveal themselves when they believe you can't leave. * the next day, she bought a small notebook. At first, it was for comfort. But soon it became her ledger of truth. Dates, remarks, strange perfumes, casual cruelties. Screenshots saved. Voice recordings hidden away. She didn't know why, but she knew she must collect proof. Weeks later at dinner, the insults sharpened. Eleanor laid down her fork. Olivia, still working on those little numbers? Yes, Olivia replied evenly. Good, Eleanor said. It's quaint. But remember, Daniel provides the real life. Don't overstep. Phil grinned. Exactly. Don't start thinking you're the breadwinner. Daniel smiled at his family before turning to her. Don't be upset, Liv. They're just proud of me. Olivia's hand trembled beneath the table. I never claimed otherwise, she whispered. Driving home, she asked quietly, why don't you ever defend me? Daniel kept his eyes ahead. Because you make it worse when you're sensitive. Laugh with them. That's what family does. Tears slid silently down her cheeks. He didn't notice. At work, she remained professional, hidden behind late nights and punctual reports. No one guessed the quiet ache she returned to. To them, she was diligent, reliable. They didn't see the constant belittling, the quiet digs. At a gala, Daniel drank too much, introducing her loudly. This is my wife. Gorgeous, isn't she? But more importantly, stable. That's why the firm loves me. Laughter rippled around the table. Olivia's cheeks burned, but she smiled, clutching her glass like a shield. On the way home, she asked, did you need to say that? He waved her off. It's a joke. Stop being so serious. It humiliates me, she said softly. You're too sensitive, he snapped. Lighten up. The next night, he didn't come home. Nor the night after. When he finally returned, shirt rumpled and reeking of perfume, she asked, where were you? Networking, he said, kissing her cheek. She slipped into the bedroom, notebook in hand, and wrote down the date. One late Thursday, the truth broke through. Olivia came home earlier than Daniel expected. From the doorway, she heard laughter echoing down the hall, his carefree voice. She edged closer. She's nothing, Daniel chuckled. Just a dull wife. I married her so the firm would take me seriously. A woman's laugh followed. Then why keep her? She'll never leave. She needs us. That's the beauty. Olivia pressed a hand over her mouth, stifling the cry. Step by step, she backed away, the air thin, walls closing in. In her room, she sat on the edge of the bed. Notebook open, pen shaking, she wrote his words exactly, sealing them like scars. Her heart broke, but her eyes had changed. They no longer saw him the same. The office smelled faintly of leather and paper, the kind of place where secrets were meant to be kept. Olivia sat across from David Lane, her father's old attorney, fingers knotted tightly in her lap. She had carried weeks of courage just to walk into this room, and now the words nearly caught in her throat. "David," she began quietly. "I need to know, am I trapped?" He leaned back, studying her with the patience he was known for. "Why would you think that?" A hollow laugh escaped her lips. "Daniel's family forced me into a prenup. His mother called it protection, said their name was worth more than anything I could ever bring. They think I should be grateful." David slid a folder across the desk. "Olivia, do you know what that prenup actually did?" Her gaze dropped to the folder, still closed. "It locked me out. Their homes, their accounts, their so-called legacy. It was their way of saying I don't belong." David shook his head, lips twitching with faint amusement. "No. All it did was wall you off from their scraps. It doesn't touch you, not at all." "I don't understand," she whispered. He opened the folder. Inside were neat columns of shares, subsidiaries, company seals. "Because you, Olivia Bennett, are the sole heir of Bennett Global Holdings. Every trust, every share, every controlling interest your father built, it belongs to you. Including Carter and Row, where your husband parades around like he owns the place. You don't just have a seat at the table, you own the table." The world tilted. Her breath stalled as she stared at the documents. All her life, she had hidden from this. She had chosen modesty, anonymity, a quiet life that was hers alone. She had wanted love untainted by wealth. And now the truth sat undeniable in front of her. "The prenup doesn't touch this?" she asked. "Not a single cent," David replied firmly. "They thought they were protecting themselves from a poor girl. All they did was shield you from their greed." Her lips parted, but words failed. She pressed trembling fingers against her mouth, fighting a rush of emotions, relief, rage, grief. Finally, she lowered her hand and exhaled. "I want them to see who they truly are. And I'm done hiding who I am." David nodded slowly, "Then we'll proceed carefully. Their arrogance will do half the work for us." That evening, Daniel sat at his mother's dining table, wine glass in hand, smirk plastered on his face. "She's sulking again," he said casually. "Stayed late at work. She'll come around. She always does." Eleanor sniffed as she sliced her chicken. "She should be grateful. We carried her long enough. No name, no fortune, and she got into this family. That's more than she deserves." Phil laughed. "Without you, she's nothing. You did her a favor." Daniel leaned back smugly. "She'll never leave. She needs us. That's the beauty of it." Eleanor smiled thinly. "And when you're promoted, people will see the truth. The Carters are rising." They didn't notice the shifting looks in the room, an uncle clearing his throat, a cousin whispering uneasily. Outside, whispers had already begun. At the club, an acquaintance asked Eleanor, "I heard your son's wife was excluded from family finances." Surely not true. At the grocery store, a stranger murmured within Olivia's hearing, "Such a shame, treating your wife like that." Even Daniel's colleague grew uneasy when he joked at a dinner, "Married men climb faster. HR loves family photos." The silence afterward was sharper than the laugh. The cracks spread. Olivia saw them all. Late at night, she sat at her small desk, laptop light glowing across her face. She thought of Daniel's sneers at her paycheck, his mockery of her work, Eleanor's cold eyes, Phil's contempt. And she heard her father's voice again, asterisk paper shows character, live. Watch how people act when no one's watching. Asterisk, they think this paper protects them, she whispered into the quiet. They have no idea. The next morning, she dialed David. "I'm ready." "Ready for what?" "For them to learn who really sits at the head of the table." The plan unfolded with careful precision. Olivia arranged a lavish corporate dinner under Daniel's name, celebrating his supposed promotion. Invitations printed on thick cardstock, embossed in gold. Executives, shareholders, board members, everyone important was summoned. Of course, the Carters would attend. When Eleanor received her invitation, she preened. Finally, people will see our worth. Daniel puffed his chest. This will cement my reputation. Phil sneered. Better make sure Olivia doesn't outshine you. Eleanor chuckled. She knows her place. Olivia only smiled. Don't worry. It'll be perfect. And it was. The ballroom gleamed like a jewel, crystal chandeliers, polished silver, golden light. Waiters glided between tables, wine glasses gleaming. Eleanor moved through the crowd as if she owned the room. Our family has worked hard, she said proudly. This is tradition. Daniel basked in the attention, slapping executives on the back. Marriage was my smartest move. Firms love stability. Promotions follow family men. He pulled Olivia close, patting her hand like an accessory. My wife understands her role. She smiled, calm and unreadable. Inside, her heart beat steady. At last, the CEO of Carter and Rowe stepped to the stage. The crowd quieted. Tall, silver-haired, commanding, he tapped the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, he began. Tonight, we celebrate growth, promotions, partnerships that strengthen us. But before toasting individual success, we honor the foundation of this company. Behind every strong firm is a hand that steadies it. Daniel whispered to his mother, "This is it." Eleanor squeezed his arm. He's leading to you. The CEO's smile widened. Tonight, we recognize our principal shareholder, the true anchor of Carter and Rowe, Olivia Bennett. The room froze. Daniel's glass slipped, red wine staining his cuff. Eleanor's pearls rattled. Phil's jaw dropped. All eyes turned as Olivia rose, poised and serene. Applause erupted, rolling like thunder. Daniel stared in disbelief, realizing too late he had never known the woman beside him. The ballroom seemed to pulse with shock. Forks clinked against china, whispers darted like sparks. Asterisk Olivia Bennett. Asterisk the name rolled through the air like a revelation. Cameras flashed, executives leaned forward, and the Carters froze in disbelief. Daniel blinked furiously, his confident smile collapsing into panic. Eleanor's hand trembled against her pearls, though she quickly straightened. Her voice cut through the murmurs, sharp as glass. Money can't buy class, Olivia. You can own every share in this company, but you'll never be a Carter. Her insult dropped heavy into silence. Olivia didn't flinch. Rising, she moved with calm precision toward the podium. The CEO stepped aside without hesitation. Every eye followed her. Her voice was steady, resonant. Class isn't about names or pearls. It's about how you treat people when no one is watching. Gasps rippled through the room. Eleanor's face darkened. Daniel shifted restlessly, cuff still wet with spilled wine. Olivia gave a small nod to the AV team. The lights dimmed. A screen flickered to life. Text appeared, magnified for all to see, asterisk can't wait to see you tonight. She won't suspect a thing. Asterisk the sender's name glared, Claire. Murmurs erupted. A second slide followed, Daniel's reply. Asterisk don't worry. She's boring. Just a wife on paper. Asterisk chairs scraped. Daniel shot to his feet. This is out of context, he shouted, his face drained of color. Olivia didn't look at him. Another slide appeared, a photo of Daniel at a hotel bar, arm wrapped around another woman, time-stamped and filed under, client meeting. Audio followed, his voice echoing across the ballroom, she's nothing. Just a dull wife. I only married her for the firm. The room erupted. Gasps, whispers, heads shaking in disgust. Eleanor stood, her voice trembling with fury. Lies. Manipulation. The CEO's voice rang firm. All evidence shown tonight was verified. Sit down, Mrs. Carter. Eleanor's face burned red as she lowered herself. Phil stared, stunned silent. Daniel staggered forward, hand out. Olivia, wait. This is between us. You didn't have to. Finally, she turned, her calm gaze cutting deeper than anger. Between us? You humiliated me in front of everyone. Your family called me lucky, when it was my name, my work, my life carrying you. You laughed at me behind closed doors. You called me nothing. Daniel's throat bobbed. I was wrong. I was stupid. Baby, please. Executives began rising from their seats, voices firm. This conduct cannot be tolerated. Unfit for leadership. The CEO's words followed like a hammer, effective immediately. Daniel Carter's promotion is revoked. His position will face disciplinary review. The final blow landed. Eleanor clutched Daniel's arm, hissing, "Do something." But his power was gone. Executives turned away. Former allies avoided his eyes. Even Claire slipped out quietly, vanishing into the shadows. Daniel's knees buckled. He collapsed in front of Olivia, hands clasped, tears streaking his face. Please. I was a fool. Don't leave me. You're my wife. We can fix this. The room held its breath. Cameras captured the fallen man at his wife's feet. Olivia looked down, eyes wet but resolute. Her words were measured, final. I gave you love when you thought I had nothing. You gave me humiliation. Now you'll have nothing from me. His hands dropped. He looked around, desperate, but no one moved. Security stepped in. This way, Mr. Carter. As they pulled him up, he shouted, Olivia, please. We can start over. She turned away. Applause rose, not triumphant, but reverent. Executives nodded. Investors whispered approval. The CEO raised his glass. To integrity. Olivia stood tall at the podium, spotlight soft on her. Her voice carried beyond chandeliers and velvet drapes. True love is not a contract, not a condition, not a performance. It proves itself in respect, loyalty, and honesty. When betrayal wears the mask of love, truth unmasks it, and justice follows. Silence hung, heavy and powerful, before the applause thundered again, echoing against high ceilings. As guests filed out, whispers shifted. No longer about the Carters' pride, but about Olivia Bennet's strength. Eleanor stormed out, humiliated, head bowed. Phil trailed, swagger stripped away. Olivia lingered in the quiet, standing among empty tables and half-cleared glasses. She breathed deeply, the chains her husband's family wrapped around her now shattered, not with rage, but with truth. She whispered softly to herself, a vow etched into the night, never again. And when she walked out of that ballroom, she didn't look back.